Mark, I believe there's some confusion today when we talk about mental maladies. I mean, because there's age-related cognitive decline. That's when you start forgetting where you put your car keys and that sort of thing. There's dementia and there's Alzheimer's. Could you define what the difference between those are, and is one of them more lethal than the other?
Sure. You know, not too long ago, there was senility,
Right.
senior moments. And now we're starting to categorize the diseases or the issues a little bit more formally. There's still a lot of overlap, even in the clinician level. There's still a lot of overlap.
All right.
But in general, you have an umbrella over neurodegenerative diseases, which is called dementia. Dementia is anything that causes the mental faculties to somehow be compromised.
So that's the umbrella term.
That's the umbrella.
And that's the one that you can die from, or complications brought on by that, right?
Yes, absolutely. The aspects of dementia might include memory loss. It might include a change in your attentiveness and your focus, change in your emotional state. It's generally brain cells that are being damaged by a process that's, again, dementia is a general term, by a process that damages the brain cells and reduces their function in life. So one of the specific types of dementias is Alzheimer's disease.
So that's a specific kind of dementia, is the Alzheimer's, and it's different.
Alzheimer's falls under the umbrella of dementia because of the way that it's manifests and because some of the attributes of disease. So Alzheimer's specifically attacks short-term memory and the inability to remember facts and things that might have just happened in recent time. Sometimes people with Alzheimer's can recall longer memories because those were thoughts that were remembered back when their mind was working, and now the retrieval mechanism is still working, but they're not really recording new facts and new information accurately. It's not completely shut off. It's so intermittent that you call it definitely a deficit. So with these Alzheimer's patients, they become continually more confused, more disoriented, and not just a memory loss that's inconvenient, but a memory loss that's incapacitating.
You'd mentioned something about, does it interfere with your life, or is it just inconvenient, right? So Alzheimer's would be interfering.
Absolutely interfering. And it is certainly something that family members need to look for in each other to see if the type of memory loss, again, is just, losing the checkbook is a hassle. Forgetting what the checkbook does is the type of thing you see with an Alzheimer's patient.
Because I've always been absent-minded, and I would do that. I'd go to the grocery store and forget my checkbook, and it was like inconvenient.
With Alzheimer's disease, you're looking at a condition in which there's been great damage to the inside of the brain. Literally, those brain cells have started to degenerate or to die. Each one of those brain cells had a responsibility, and once it died or was degenerated to the point of dysfunction, it can't perform that ability, and the individual or the patient can't perform that task anymore. I mean, that's how they've lost a function. Just like if you were used to being muscular, and all of a sudden you had some muscle wasting, you lost the strength. You couldn't do it anymore. Mentally, that's what these brain cells are designed to do.
Brain cell wasting.
Exactly, to keep the brain strong and healthy, and as they become weaker, the mind in general becomes weaker. So we're looking at about 5.5 million people with Alzheimer's in the United States right now, in 2010. About 500,000 more are expected to get Alzheimer's disease every year. So Alzheimer's is certainly the most notarized form of dementia and the most dangerous because, of course, you become disabled to the point where you can't care for yourself. Even if someone is administering care for you, you're not necessarily able to comply with their instructions. You need assistance getting to the physician's office, getting to a treatment center. And so when you look at that, the emotional toll is huge for the family that sees the person they know disappear. The individual themselves is, of course, trying to wrestle with the fears of losing their own personality. And then you throw on top of that what tends to be about a 3 times as expensive treatment protocol for Alzheimer's patients because they need all the extra care. So, it hits you left and right and in between. It's a very dangerous disease, and it's a very expensive disease. And the costs are not just financial, but also mainly emotional.
I would think so. And now with age-related cognitive decline, that means that some of your brain cells, you're losing some of them, but not to the point of not being able to function.
That's right. The age-related cognitive decline typically starts at about age 40. We start to maybe lose things. We might walk into a room and forget while we're there. We might be in the middle of a conversation like you and I are having.
Lose your train of thought.
Lose your train of thought. What was I going to say? And you sort of roll your eyes and you're like, what was I thinking about? Now that is a form of memory loss that can progress and can contribute to people that have Alzheimer's disease. You can't really know exactly who's going to get it. We're all going to suffer this age-related cognitive decline. But there's interesting research out that's going to talk about being able to address age-related cognitive decline, and hopefully, the hope is with this new research, is that there'll be ways that you can push off Alzheimer's disease so that fewer people will get it, or they will get it later in life. And an interesting statistic is that if you can push off the age of onset of Alzheimer's disease by just 5 years, you can reduce its incidence by about 50%.
Just by controlling it or staving it off for 5 years.
Yeah, so I think that's the hope we have in research, is that we don't have to take someone who's 80 years old with Alzheimer's and turn them into a 30-year-old brainiac.
Okay.
If we could take them back and say, make them as healthy as a 75-year-old with a healthy brain and continue to live their life, there might be a little bit difference in their cognitive function than in their brilliant 20s,
Okay.
before they had back when they knew everything. But if you can push that off, that means that the last 5 or 10 years of life can be conducted when you're clear-headed and coherent. And that's a quality of life that I think everyone would be interested in having for themselves, as well as maybe if they're looking at their aging parents, would like them to be able to enjoy as well.
Very good. Thank you.